Welcome back to Reformed Reloaded. My name is Justin, and let's talk about guns. So, I decided to do a Q&A. I get a lot of questions about living in New York as a gun owner and Second Amendment advocate kind of guy. And so there's a lot of questions about that. And so I compiled a bunch of questions that I get from you guys on a regular basis. Particularly from my Instagram at reformed_reloaded. And so I thought I would compile a list of answers for you. So, question one, where do I live? I live in central New York. I am 4 hours north of the city. Lived here for 31 years, pretty much my life. And yeah, it's honestly, New York is honestly a beautiful state outside of the city. It's actually also a very conservative state for the most part. Besides, of course, New York, Albany, Buffalo, those areas which are full of liberals and Democrats, which kind of decide the fate, unfortunately, of the state because it's a great state otherwise. Beautiful mountains, beautiful hillsides. I mean, the state itself is quite nice, quite beautiful. A lot of hunting, a lot of lakes, hundreds and hundreds of lakes. The Adirondack Mountains, easily one of the most beautiful places on earth. I love it up there. And so it's a shame because New York is otherwise a wonderful place to live. We don't get a lot of natural disasters. We get a lot of snow. So if you don't like the cold or the snow, you'd hate it here. But we get a lot of snow. But aside from that, there's a lot of reason to live here outside of the unfortunate tyrannical laws that seem to pervade our state. So, and why haven't I moved? Another question I get a lot. I haven't moved because number one, all my family and all of my friends and all of my work is here. There's some other personal reasons I won't get into, but I am a single dad, and I'm not going to take my son away from his family, and a lot of family here that can't or won't leave. So for now, anyways, here I am in New York, and I will not be going anywhere, unfortunately, anytime soon. Maybe one day, perhaps, but someone's got to stay and fight, so I guess that'll be me. Also, if I sniffle or cough, I'm sorry. I'm just on the end of COVID. Yep, I got the Rona, and honestly, it's been fine. So, yeah. So, okay. Question number 2: how hard is it to get or own guns in New York? That depends. So, owning rifles in New York, any long guns, whether it be hunting rifles, shotguns, even ARs, AKs, any of those things, not hard to own at all. You can walk into a gun store, pick out the one you want, buy it, have background check done in a few minutes, and walk home with it. Not a problem. Very easy to own firearms in New York State, especially, got to qualify that outside of New York City. New York City has its own sort of jurisdiction, its own laws, because it's how big of a city it is. It's got its own ordinances that don't apply to the rest of the state. For example, I have a New York pistol permit, but I still cannot carry in New York City, which I'd want to carry there more than anywhere else. Go figure. So, but outside of New York City is primarily where I'm talking about. It is not hard at all to own firearms. Unless, of course, you're talking about pistols. It's a little bit of a different story. Yes, you can own pistols in New York State. That's not a problem. But there is a process. There's a pretty hefty process involved. So you do need a permit, and it's not a shall issue state. So they can say no for any reason that they feel like. But typically they don't, especially in more conservative areas like where I am. They will usually issue you a permit. Typically, they will start off with a restricted permit, hunting, hiking, collecting, things like that. They will give you a permit that has restrictions on it. And then after that, at least in my county, after that, after a year, you can apply to have your restrictions removed. You have to write a letter to the judge. It's a pain in the butt. Our permits are typically 2 pieces, so kind of hard to see. One permit will have your your address on it, and the other, and like your where you work and all those things. I probably just showed you my address. Whoops. And the other will have your a list of your pistols on it. Sorry, I have a terrible webcam here. That these two pieces always have to go together. You cannot carry just one of them, and you cannot carry your pistol without having your permit on you. So that's one of the rules here, unfortunately. But it's quite a process to do that. I mean, for example, you have to take a pistol safety course before you can even apply, and you can't even handle any pistols while you're there. You take the course, then you can get your application. Once you get your application, you have to fill that out. Tons of questions, a lot of history about your life. You have to have 4 references that live in your county that can't be law enforcement, they can't be related to you, and they have to have known you for at least 5 years, which is absurd. They have to get their paperwork notarized and then send it into the county. You have to get yours notarized and send it into the county as well. And then you wait. For me, it took about 9 months. That's relatively quick in this area. Some of the surrounding areas can take up to 2-3 years to wait. Some counties you can get your permit within a couple of weeks. It depends on what county you live in, which is crazy. But it is what it is, unfortunately. So, buying a pistol, similar kind of crazy process if you want to go in. If you want to buy a pistol, this was my first pistol. This is a Canik TP9 SF Elite. As you can see, it's cleared. There's nothing. This was my first pistol. Buying this was a pain in the butt. Don't worry, that went over my head. Buying this was a pain in the butt to do that, particularly in this area, because, well, the process looks like this. Basically, you go to the store, you pick out the gun that you want, and once you pick it out, you can handle it. Once they've approved your permit, then you can handle your pistol. You can, you can get your hands on it and actually take a look at it. You can buy it, but you can't take it home just yet. So you buy it. They give you a receipt and some information. You call the permit office. You say this is the serial number, the model, etc. Excuse me. They will then write that down, make an appointment with you. You go into the permit office, and they will then print out your permit, give you a piece of paper that you can then bring back. Oh, by the way, you're paying for all this. You pay for the permit. You pay for adding a pistol to your permit, etc. The whole process, a couple $100. And once you get your permit, you have to have a pistol on it in order to keep your permit. And you only have limited time from the time they approve it to the time you can buy your pistol. So then you go there, they print off your permit with the pistol on it, or pistols, depending on how many you bought. And you take the paperwork and the permit back to the store where you bought the firearm. They will then give you your firearms, and they will walk you out of the store with them. You can't walk around the store with them. And so that's what the process is like. It's a pain in the butt. So every time you want to buy a pistol, when I went and bought my Shadow, it was the same thing. Basically, you walk into the store, and you look at the pistol. I looked at it, found out I definitely wanted it, bought it, and called the pistol permit office, went back, added it to my permit, went back to the store, bought the gun, brought it home. So owning pistols in New York is a pain in the butt. And it's relatively easy in my area compared to other parts of the state. So owning and carrying a pistol can be a huge pain in the butt, but worth it, worth every penny, and worth all the time. Because number one, you're sticking it to the governor here, and number two, I would rather have a pistol than not. So yeah, owning a pistol is a huge pain, but it can be done, and I highly suggest doing it. I know a lot of people that have gone through the process, and it's worth doing. It's worth pursuing. So yeah, I only own 2 at the moment. My Shadow Systems MR920 Combat, and then my Canik TP9 SF Elite. This is the TLR7A Light, which I sometimes throw on here as well. Haven't bought a second one yet. This is actually what I carry every day I get a lot of questions. What's your carry gun? This is what I actually carry. It has the Holosun 407A3. It's an older one, but it's a great little red dot. I like it a lot. It does have the Shadow Systems magwell as well. Everything else is pretty much stock. It does have their signature. I don't know if you can see the optic there, the night sights. It's fantastic pistol. I'll do a review or something on this sometime. Great gun. Love this gun. I typically will carry in a holster like this because I'm limited to, well, so restrictions, right? In New York State, the only real restriction there's two restrictions mostly on pistols. Number one, you can't have a threaded barrel. You can't have anything on the barrel at all. So no compensators, no suppressors, no, even if you went through the whole process, get a tax stamp and all that, can't do suppressors, can't do compensators, can't do any of that in New York State. And magazines are all limited to 10-round mags. So I have 10-round Glock mags. This is a Shadow. If you don't know, Shadow Systems is a American-made pistol company, make custom pistols, but it's basically a Gucci Glock. You know, it's got the fluted barrel there, kind of dirty. ETS mags, but these use Glock mags, Glock holsters. It's made to Glock specs. I can even throw a Glock slide on here, Gen 4 Glock slide if I wanted to, but and it will function and shoot fine. But there's no Glock parts. This is a Glock PMag, also works. So, but all of these magazines are limited to 10 rounds. So I always carry with an extra mag as much as possible. And I try to carry in a holster like this, if possible. Sometimes I will carry in a slightly smaller version, like this, if I want to be a little bit more lightweight. I typically carry like this in the summer with just pocketing one of my mags. I've been meaning to pick up a Neo mag for that purpose. Sometimes I carry with strong side, depending on my mood. But for the most part, I carry appendix, and then this is a over the waistband holster. These are all Legacy holsters, Legacy Firearms company. I do have a discount code for them below. So yeah, Legacy Firearms makes great holsters. This one in particular is a Black Arch holster. Super comfortable, by the way. If you carry strong side, I cannot recommend this holster enough. Super, super comfortable. The Protos M by Black Arch. What else? Restrictions. So, yeah, if we're talking about restrictions in New York State, there are some other restrictions. For example, owning an AR-15, right? Yes, you can own ARs in New York State. This is mine. It's a bit of a custom build, on a little bit of a budget, single dad budget. This has AX Tactical is a local firearms manufacturer, so I have an AX Tactical lower receiver. Brilliant lower receiver. I honestly, it shoots wonderfully. This is a Durkin Precision upper. It has some Magpul furniture. This is the Bushnell AR Optics with a 3x magnifier and the red dot. This has a Sparrow. Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. Sparrow Dynamics extended mag release. This is a Resurgent Arms ambidextrous and extended safety. I will explain why I have this here in a moment, along with this Resurgent Arms end plate. There's reasons for that, which I will explain. So I have a few different configurations for this rifle. In this current configuration, speaking of restrictions, in New York State, you can have a fully featured AR-15, just like this. The only restriction being this is a fixed mag setup, so I can't remove this magazine in this particular configuration. So in all of these magazines are 10-round mags, because again, also limited to 10 rounds. So this is in a 30-round body, this is a 10-round I have a couple of these, obviously, different colors, black, green, FDE. This is a P-Mag, same thing, 10-round mag capacity and a 30-round body. Primarily, one would do that for looks. If I actually go out and shoot with a fixed mag configuration, I typically just bring a 10-round mag in the rifle, because if there's a malfunction and I can't remove the mag, with these 30-round bodies, I can't just remove the base plate. But with these 10-round, I can just pop the base plate off real quick, clear the jam, put the base plate back on, and continue on going. I haven't had to do that with this particular rifle. I haven't really had any malfunctions in about 1,500 rounds, which is, again, just an attestation to AX Tactical and their lowers here. But regarding that, you might ask, okay, well then how do you reload? Well, these always typically come in New York with extended takedown pins. Typically, you would reload from the top, which obviously is not convenient for anyone. So I like to use Bear Flag Defense BF10 speed loaders. So basically the way one of these works is when your bolt locks back, this slides in to your ejection port, and you squeeze these, push this down, it reloads your magazine with 10 rounds, and you can continue on. You hit the bolt release and you continue on firing. With practice, it's just about as fast as a mag dump, dropping a mag and reloading. But again, that doesn't solve the issue of double feeds or jams or failure to feeds or things like that, any sort of malfunction. So what I will do, typically, if I'm actually going to go out and do some shooting, I will do the other option for New York, which is called a featureless rifle. So featureless has a couple of qualifications. You can't have a collapsible stock. So Resurgent Arms actually, and some other companies, make options to fix your stock in place so it can't be moved. You can't have a pistol grip. So what I will do is I will throw on a Resurgent Arms grip. This replaces your pistol grip, and therefore it's no longer conspicuous and dangerous and deadly. So this will basically make your rifle shoot and hold in a more traditional rifle fashion, something more like this, right? So then you end up holding the rifle more like this. Not the most comfortable thing by any means, but that's what the law is here. So that's why I have this end plate on here, because when my hand is forced up like that, rather than rubbing on a sharp end plate here and cutting my hand, this particular end plate, as you can see, is soft and comfortable. So when this is up like this, and my hand is jammed up in there, it's a lot more comfortable that way. And because your hand is forced back, that's why this extended safety is on there. I can very easily, when I'm shooting with the featureless configuration, as I bring up the firearm, I will pop up the safety this way, which is why my ambidextrous is facing this particular direction. I'll pop it up, and then when I'm done, I will use my thumb to pop this back up. So it is a workaround, and it's an attestation to how silly gun laws are, because they don't actually do anything really. So the other features you cannot have on a featureless rifle is you can't have a vertical foregrip. So if I'm going to be shooting, I can use an angled foregrip, but I can't use a vertical foregrip for some arbitrary, useless reason. And then lastly, you can't have any barrel accessories. So I can't have a flash hider, muzzle brake, anything. So what I have to do is have a barrel that either doesn't have any threads, or I can put a thread protector on and pin that in place permanently. So I do have another upper receiver that I use for featureless build for going out and shooting, and that has the Sparrow Dynamics thread protector on the tip pinned in place so that I can do some featureless shooting. So, but because of that, with that particular setup, the reason I have the extended safety and the extended mag release is so that I can use removable mags. And with my hand jammed back up like that, with the featureless option, being able to reach the safety or the safety and the mag release more easily is very helpful. So Resurgent Arms and Sparrow Dynamics are two great companies for those types of accessories. So yeah, kind of silly, arbitrary rules in New York, but it allows you to have a more functional rifle that way. And this is not a bad option, this particular grip. It's quite comfortable. I can still reach the trigger. I can do my safety. And it doesn't look, it looks unusual, obviously, because it's not what a typical AR looks like, but it doesn't look too bad. There are some really ugly and gaudy options. This doesn't necessarily look too bad. I will say in New York State, the law is arbitrary and vague. I think it's intentionally vague. So whether or not something like this particular grip is going to hold up in court is, again, this is not legal advice. Don't take my advice as legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. I've talked to Sparrow Dynamics. I've talked to Resurgent Arms. They believe that their products are within the law, the writing of the New York Safe Act. But that is a decision you will have to make in what you are willing to risk. There hasn't been any court cases on it or rulings against those particular features or those particular featureless options. There are some that are a little bit more clear, like the Thordston grips. I will probably get one of those for the sake of this channel, just to show you what other options are available in New York State at some point or another. So yeah, other rifles, again, these bolt action rifles are obviously legal. Again, you're limited as far as what size mags you can use. On these, typically they only come with 4 rounds or whatever. You can get 10 round mags for some of these rifles, but again, you're still limited to 10 rounds. So it's a pain in the butt. And there are some silly, stupid rules, but they exist. And whether or not you comply is up to you. If you're going to comply, there are some options for you. And yeah, so. Oh, what else? Those are the guns that I carry, the guns that I use, guns I shoot, ARs. What do I do for work? I work in IT at a local hospital. Been working in IT since I graduated college, pretty much. So since 2012, almost 10 years. It's a fine gig. I like where I work. It's not my dream job or anything, but that's what I do. What other questions do we have here? What does reformed reloaded mean? So reloaded obviously means reloaded, but reformed is I'm a Christian, and reformed theology is a particular stream of Christian theology. I am reformed in my theology, and so I could talk about what that means for forever. But that is a historic sort of Christian Orthodox position. You may often hear Reformed folks as referred to as Calvinists. So yeah, I'm Reformed. I could talk about, like I said, I could do a whole video on that. I'm not going to. I do have another. I have a podcast where I talk about theology and distilled spirits. It's called Distilling Theology. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, theology and whiskey, you can check us out if you want to know more about that stuff. If not, whatever, stick around here. This is for guns in New York. So yeah, other than that, do I have sponsors? That was another question. I do have a couple of sponsors, Dangerous But Good. I'm an ambassador for them. Like I said earlier, Legacy Firearms Holsters, affiliate with them, affiliate with Strong Coffee Company. So I have discount codes for that kind of thing. You can check those out in the description or on my Instagram. That's primarily where my audience is. So if you're not on Instagram following me yet, which is probably where you heard about this channel from, but if you're not for whatever reason, @reformed_reloaded is my Instagram. So follow me there, and yeah, I think that covers all the questions that I have for today, that you guys gave me. There's more questions that I haven't answered, but I will do another video on that at some point. I will probably spend there's a lot of review channels out there where they review products and things like that. I may do a few of those things, but it's a very saturated market in that regard. So what I will probably focus on is New York specific type products and laws and things of that nature. So reviewing things like speed loaders, right? For those of us that maybe live in California or New York or some other state that might have some awful restrictions, products that are specific to my state are things that I will probably take a look at. So, things like that, and what it's like to shoot and use New York specific type products. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. If you made it this far, congratulations. You get 100 reformed points. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, and yeah, stay frosty.